And hello. So this is a live broadcast between me and Gav from GavsWeatherVids. So we're going to be doing a live weather broadcast similar to some of the ones that we've done before on the situation this week, which will include the upcoming hot spell, some possible predictions about what the maximum temperature will be, whether it's likely that the record will be broken, and also perhaps some look at the stormy weather. So Gav is here today, and so we're going to start by talking about that. So, hello, Gav.
Hi, Quantum. How are you?
Oh yeah, not too bad. So, about that, just upon some. So I guess the first thing to do is to start by looking at the current temperatures today, so that we can progress from there. So I've got XC weather up, so I'm just going to do a screen share, and hopefully this will work. Okay. So currently the maximum temperature that we've got is 22 degrees in the southeast of England. So what we're expecting is that the heat is actually going to increase gradually through the week.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess let's have a quick think about what would be classified as a hot spell, or what would you consider to be a heat wave in the UK?
Well, there is a definitive sort of definition of a heat wave, isn't there? But I think because everybody has different tolerance levels, really, I think to heat. So what is one person's heat wave probably won't be another. But I would say if it gets around 30 degrees, 86 Fahrenheit, that's probably a heat wave. Okay,
so 80 degrees, that's something like 25 degrees centigrade.
25, 77. So yeah, around I said 30, didn't I? 30 is 86. So yeah, around 27, 81 would be what I would class really as a hot spell.
And we're definitely going to see that this week. So just
yeah, for sure, yeah.
So I guess before we have a detailed look at the models, because the GFS is just starting to come out now, so just to fill in some time before they run a little bit more. What do you think the absolute minimum temperature that we're going to see, the absolute minimum maximum temperature that we're going to see this week?
Obviously, it's going to depend where you are. Scotland will be cooler than southern England, won't it? But let's say for something like London, I think I would say the maximum temperature somewhere London, southeast England, maybe Gravesend, probably around, I would say 34 or 35. So it's sort of mid-90s. But it's going to be, it will depend on cloud. It will depend on cloud amounts, of course, whether there's thunderstorms.
Okay, so yeah, that of course is something that has been putting a little bit of a question mark on this hot spell, because what I've noticed is that part of the problem is that in places like Spain and France, where this heat is being drawn up from, there's actually these surface areas of low pressure, these heat lows that seem to be stopping the heat from taking the most direct path it can. And when we saw a couple of days ago with the Nav gem, that sort of gave the it sort of gave a scenario that is conceivably possible where the heat takes a completely direct course and builds over France without these heat lows tending to disrupt it and push it away to the east.
That was a fun run, wasn't it? The Nav Jam, yeah. What was it? Something like 43 degrees at one point.
It was 45. So for people that don't know, the Nav Gem is one particular numerical weather prediction model, much like the GFS, but it's also run by the American government. But people consider it to sort of be the Noddy of the of the weather models. There's a lot of jokes made about it, but the amusement was that a couple of days ago, at its peak, the Nav Gem was actually predicting temperatures of 45 degrees. And it's what I'm fairly surprised of is that the tabloids didn't get hold of this. But
no, I and others were circulated around Twitter and on the social media networks, but nobody seemed to pick up on it. But I was surprised that they didn't.
because I've never seen a chart like that before. For a chart that shows temperatures of 45 degrees. I mean, I know we both know that that's not going to happen, but to even actually see a chart like that, it's pretty amazing.
It was ridiculous, wasn't it? It was right at the very extreme. I actually included it at the end of Friday's video. It was Friday, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was Friday, wasn't it? I included it at the end of that, and I said sort of this will be the most extreme summer chart that you're ever going to see. It really can't get any hotter than what that was showing. So yeah, I did put it in at the end of the video on Friday, actually. So if anybody wants to see it, they just need to go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/GavsWeatherVids, and then find Friday's video, and they can see it right at the very end of that video on Friday. But it was crazy.
Yeah, yes, indeed. It was at the 850 level, which is the sort of for people that don't know what the 850 is. I'll very briefly explain. This is the temperature at the level where the pressure is equal to 850 hectopascals. Sorry, I might have got that wrong, but it's basically 850 millibars. So it's a level that's something like 1,500 feet up in the atmosphere at roughly that level, and it's used more often than not because the surface temperature is subject to the variation of the sun. So of course it's going to be warmer during the day than the night, but whereas the 850 temperature stays roughly constant. So it's a good idea of getting an illustration of how warm the air mass is. And one interesting thing was that the 850 temperature, so temperatures of 20 degrees, which is pretty rare by all accounts. I know it happened in 2003, and that's what I'm just about to get up now. But has it happened at any other time before? Have we seen the 20 degree at the 850 level before, Gav? Do you know about that?
I can't remember. We did reach around 37 degrees in 1990, didn't we? And I can't remember whether, I don't think that did get up to 20 degrees actually at 850 in 1990, but I don't think so. No, I think sort of in the recorded time frame, 2003 is probably the only time, but somebody will probably correct me because I'm probably wrong. But I don't think we did it in 1990.
I've just got up the archive chart courtesy of weather3.d, which is a good website that you can look up various different archive charts, and we can see here that there's the 22 degree line just grazes the southeast coast. Oh, actually, sorry, I'm not looking. This is not the archive chart. This is actually the.
That's what's coming up, isn't it?
Forecast. Oh, okay, this is the archive chart. Sorry about that. We just had a preview. But okay, so I'm just running through the 2003 thing. So
yeah, at the end of July there.
Yeah, so that's the end of July. So it's the 10th of August where we actually had the record, isn't it? Or was it the 9th?
What happened in 2003 is that we had about a week of really hot weather, didn't we? Through the first, around the 3rd, was it to the 11th or 12th, something like that. We had one peak of heat, and then it eased off ever so slightly, and then it came back around the 9th and the 10th over that weekend, Saturday. I think it's Saturday the 9th, so the 10th of August 2003.
Yes. I mean, we can see that here with this pulse of heat coming up on the 5th.
That's right.
And that 22 degree line there, showing the temperatures at the 850 level.
So that's right. It did get over 2000. It did get over 20 degrees for the first push of heat, but we didn't reach the 100 Fahrenheit. It was on the second push that you see now.
So we can see again. But the interesting thing is that the 850 temperatures during the record were actually slightly lower. So we didn't actually get the 22 degree line going back over the UK. It was only about 21, which is quite interesting.
But it was the second push that was hotter on the surface and broke the record. So that's very interesting. And it's probably just because the surface was getting more and more, heating up more and more as the days went on. So even though the second push didn't quite reach, in terms of the 850 level, didn't quite reach the level of the first push, the record went on the second push of heat.
And the interesting thing to bear in mind is someone before I went on this live hangout, I was on your website GavsWeatherVids.com, and someone asked quite an interesting question if there was any way to convert between the 850 temperature and the surface temperature, and the answer I gave was that the general rule is if the air's dry you can add about 10 degrees, and if the air's moist you can add around 10 degrees, and if the air's dry you can add around 15 degrees. So for something like the 20 degrees at the 850 level, you could sort of expect somewhere between 30 and 35 at the surface, depending on how moist the air is. So of course that is going to be a big factor. If the air is very, very dry, we can expect the temperatures to be quite a bit higher.
That's right. Yeah, I think that was the correct answer. I've not seen the comments on the website actually. People forgot to say that people can comment as we're discussing, and if we've got time at the end, I'll have a look at some of the comments. But I've not checked out the comments actually for a little while. But well done for answering that one, because I think that's right. Yeah.
And of course, the record that we're looking to beat is the 38.5 that was recorded in Gravesend on the 10th of August 2003.
That's right.
Was there some dispute about whether that one was the true record?
I can't remember. I think that was okay. I think there was one that I think there was a bit of a dispute, wasn't there? I can't remember where it was for, but I think that was right.
Okay.
I can't remember. My mind is getting old now, so I can't remember what happened. But 38.5, I think, is the record, and somewhere might have gone higher than that actually, or something, ever so slightly, and it was thrown out or something. But I can't remember.
Of course, the problem is with these weather stations that there's so many. You have to be so careful in many different ways, because of course if it gets overexposed to the sunlight, I mean, even in February, even in the middle of February, you can actually see 40 degrees on your thermometer quite easily just by exposing it to the sunlight.
That's right.
So you've really got to be so this is the part of the problem I'm looking.
It can be very difficult to record temperature just on somewhere that really is totally shady, can't it?
Yeah, it really is a difficulty, and also they have when you want to compare back over a long period of time, you have the problem of the urban heat island effect. So obviously if you have a thermometer in the centre of London, it's going to give you an inflated temperature. So there's also things like that to consider. So it's very difficult to actually know whether you've got a record, and so the Met-Office are very good in that they have these stations that look a little bit like beehives, and they're specially designed to be able to measure the temperatures without all these biases influencing them. And because of this, the most reliable records of them are also the most recent ones. So the good thing about the 2003 record is that it happened relatively recently, so it's one that I guess we can be relatively confident of.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so I guess we should probably now look at the GFS. I'm going to use Meteoshield because I think it's one of the easier sites to interface with. I know you prefer Beta Zentrala, but
when I do that though, I'm pre-recording, aren't I? So
yeah, I find Beta Zentrala a little bit harder to use. So maybe for a live event we'll just use them. And the quite cool thing about this is that you can it lets you do zoomed in views, so we can have a look at the UK specifically as well. So I guess we should start with the slip. So feel free to comment as I'm just going through this. Okay, so this is today. I guess people really want to know about what's going to happen next week, so we'll just skip that across. So this is Tuesday. We've got the area of high pressure that's centered. This ridge of high pressure that's centered over Central Europe, 1,020 millibars. So not particularly impressive in that regard.
Not like the winter. Very often the pressures in the summer highs will be a little bit lower than the pressures from winter highs. So, 1,020 is about something like that. 1,020, 1,030, what tends to be what you get with summer highs. Yes.
So this is now Tuesday. So this is actually 1 hour out because this is a French website, so it uses French time. So this is actually so what I'm looking at now is actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. So So we could see on Tuesday we've got these sort of southeasterly winds pushing up directly from France. So one of the key things to understand about how hot is it going to be is how hot the weather already is over France and further down to Spain as well. And we've got this low pressure out to the west, which is sort of pumping up these warm winds. But like I said, part of the problem with all this is that we've also got this sort of heat low developing in Spain, which is doing its best to cut off the hot air.
That's right. You will very often see that. I think the heat low is very often sort of an omnipresent feature through the summer across Spain. But of course, because the air is very dry, it doesn't really do anything. But as soon as that starts to push out of Spain and picks up moisture over France or the Bay of Biscay, then it starts to generate into a proper area of low pressure.
We will be looking later at things like the Cape and Lifted Index, because I suspect this will be quite an interesting period for thunderstorms as well.
I think so, yeah. I always find thunderstorms the hardest sort of thing to forecast. Thunderstorms, they're very, very difficult to pin down. Even harder than snow. I find it very, very difficult to forecast thunderstorms. But yeah, like you say, there will be thunderstorms, but pinpointing where they are, it's going to be a bit tricky.
Okay, so I'm on 72 hours. No, that's a little bit further out. So this is Tuesday, and as we move through to Wednesday, are we sort of agree that Wednesday is probably going to be the hottest part of at least the first?
I think so. Yeah, we're going to have. I think we're going to have two pushes of heat. One on Wednesday, then things will ease off Thursday as everything becomes rather unstable. And then we'll probably have another push on Friday and maybe lasting Saturday. I think that's generally the idea at the moment.
So we can see here by 72 hours. This is 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday, the 1st of July. We've got again these southeasterly winds, and at this point the emphasis of the heat is going to be towards the east because of this low pressure area encroaching on the west. And for those that want to see a record fall, the problem really here is that the Atlantic is trying to cut off this supply of warm air, and a lot of this heat is actually being dumped in the North Sea, where it's really not doing anything. And one thing that I always find quite remarkable is that in places like Orkney and Shetland and the east coast of Scotland, where the 850 temperatures are as high as 15 degrees, which is by all accounts a very, very warm air mass. The temperatures in these places could only be 13, 14, maybe even 11, 12 degrees because the sea is just cooling down the air so rapidly. So any coast that's exposed to a sea breeze is not going to see high temperatures.
That's right. You can get mist and rubbish rolling around the coast when you get these temperature contrasts between the heat and the cooler sea. And of course, the other thing that's going to limit the record anyway, it will be a hot day on Wednesday, but to get the record, you would want the air to be very, as we discussed with the 850 temperatures, you want the air to be very dry, whereas this is probably going to be very humid air within that instability. And there's probably going to be quite a lot of cloud building up as well, generate thunderstorms in places. So all of these things will have a drag on the temperatures, albeit only a slight one, but the record I would think is off the table for Wednesday. Famous last words, but I don't think we'll do it.
No, I agree. I was having I showed the archive footage about 10 minutes ago now, and I was having a look before we went live, comparing. I didn't look at the 12, but I was comparing the six I'd run with the 2003 heat plume, and one thing that really seemed to occur to me is that in 2003 the heat plume was quite a lot bigger. It covered all of Spain, all of France, and all of the UK. Really, this much larger plume of air. Whereas what we've got this time is a much smaller, narrower plume that's really concentrated towards the eastern part of the UK, and indeed into the North Sea. And the 20-degree line is really scraping the East Anglian coast. So the part of the problem is that despite the fact that the air mass is just as warm as it was in 2003, I mean, in some cases it looks even a little bit warmer in parts of the south of France. It's just not quite in the right place. And I think the one thing that the NavGem did that allowed those remarkable temperatures to theoretically move over the UK was that it imported the air directly from the Sahara, which of course is one of the driest places in the world. So we didn't get the moisture, and we didn't get the air moving over any of the sea apart from the English Channel, which is very warm at this time of year anyway.
That's right. The NavGem was a perfect. Everything came together absolutely perfectly. But I think we can see on that chart that there is going to be instability within the air mass. So it's not a particularly dry air mass. So I say it will limit the potential a little bit, but it's going to be a very hot day. I mean, we've got to be talking about temperatures up to 32 in the southeast. Could go higher than that. So it's going to be hot enough for most people, I think.
I think. Do you think we could see a record for places like Yorkshire and Lincolnshire because that's where the heat seems to be the most concentrated? Now, I know that places like Kent could do better, but the places like Yorkshire and Lincolnshire, maybe even the northeast of England, how rare is it in these places to see temperatures above 30?
I think it is quite a rare event. Temperatures could go above 30, but what I've noticed, of course, this is very early days, but what I have noticed, I think, is that for Wednesday, the main thunderstorm potentially is for Wales and northern England. So obviously that would dampen down the temperatures if you've got thunderstorms.
But generally, the thunderstorms seem to be restricted to the west rather than the east.
Probably not. Yeah, maybe over on the eastern side of the Pennines, we could see something record breaking. It's possible.
I mean, I'd be interested to see if Newcastle manages to get to 30 degrees.
Have you ever recorded 30 degrees there?
I don't know. I think it'd be pretty rare to get 30 degrees in Newcastle.
I'm sure it would.
But I'd be very surprised if Newcastle doesn't manage 28 on Wednesday. So anyway, let's go a little bit further. So this is Thursday, and Thursday was actually supposed to be the hottest day from some of the earlier runs.
That's right. I think the temperature on Thursday just being pushed down a bit.
Because actually the 12Z is far more extreme than the 6Z in that it really pushes the heat away quite quickly. It's still going to be warm, but
probably going under 30, perhaps away from London could still get to 30, but I will think most places will drop back under 30 on Thursday. And
Thursday could be a day when we see the thunderstorms. I mean, if there's a front that comes through on Wednesday night, that could introduce this band of a situation where you do get quite light, humid rain, but you get thunder that lasts all night. So there's like rumblings of thunder that last all night, but it's quite drizzly. The rain is quite light. I think we could see that sort of weather on Wednesday night as we get a cold front that's really not trying. It sort of weakens as it moves through, and there's just a few bits and pieces of thunder, and as it moves through, the very, very sort of muggy, wet sort of evening on Wednesday, I suspect.
Yeah, I could see that being very probable for Wednesday evening and overnight into Thursday morning. Thursday could be like a disappointingly sort of cloudy, murky day, perhaps. So everybody will probably be thinking that the heat wave is done then, perhaps. But I think probably it comes back Friday. Be interested to see whether it will do that.
I mean, already this is 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday, and already it seems to be progress seems to be made for a push. So I just had a bit of a problem with my microphone. But Thursday already looks as if it's starting to come back, even by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see that pressure is starting to build.
That's right, a reload.
So much like the reloads that we see in winter on these sort of Siberian style easterly type things, one of these summer ones. So what do you think about the fact that the pressure is much higher this time? Does that really make much of a difference? and centered over the Scandinavia rather than.
I'm not sure whether it would make a great deal of difference. Really, it may make the air a little bit drier, but that's quite a long way away, isn't it? The high pressure, so probably doesn't make a great deal of difference. But yeah, it's up to 1,030 millibars. That's quite high for a summer high.
You can see that as we go into Friday, I think that's Vendredi. Again, the winds are going back into the southeast, so I think Friday is going to be a warm day. So, do you think Friday will be warmer than Wednesday?
No, I think it's difficult to say. It's still a long way up, but I think Wednesday will be the peak through the week. If they can hang on into Saturday, Saturday could get higher than Wednesday, but it just depends how quickly because I think on Saturday there will be a thundery front finally coming across the country from that low pressure. It just depends how quickly that comes in. But I would think temperatures will be back above 30 again on Friday.
The thing is, though, the thing about Friday is that the winds do seem to be going over the smallest part of the channel where the temperatures will be 22 degrees. So I could conceive that Friday could be warmer than Wednesday, and we could see even 35 possibly on Friday.
It's possible, but I think that's more likely if the front doesn't come across on Saturday. But it's conceivable that it could happen. It's a little way off still with the detail, so I'm going to wait and see how much. I think there'll probably be more sun around, maybe on Friday, so that could make a difference as well. Because Wednesday probably sees quite a lot of cloud with those thunderstorms building up. Whereas Friday, the air is probably going to be quite dry. And there may not be as much cloud. So it is conceivable. Maybe Friday will be hotter than Wednesday.
One thing I noticed about the, again, this was some of the earlier runs. And the models seem to be a little, basically echoing our slight disagreement here. They seem to be a little bit unsure whether Wednesday was going to be the hotter day or Friday was going to be the hotter day. But one thing that was consistent is that in all cases with all the models, Friday was the hotter day for France, almost across the board. Friday was much hotter for France, despite the 850 temperatures being broadly very similar. On Wednesday, the temperatures in France were generally in the high 30s, 36, 37. It's actually a little bit lower than that, 34, 35 on Wednesday. But on Friday, they were getting quite close to 40 degrees in parts of France. So I found that quite interesting, that actually France was actually warmer on the Friday.
Yes. If that is still pushing up for Saturday, then Saturday could be really hot. But it's just going to depend how quickly the thunderstorms and the cold front starts to push the heat out of the way on Saturday. But Saturday could be a really hot day.
Let's have a quick look at that now then. So this is 7 o'clock in the evening on Friday with that southeasterly wind still pushing across. We can see that, again, there's a real issue with this because there's no real, in winter you tend to get these well-defined low pressure systems, but in summer everything just seems to be so lazy. These low pressure systems don't really seem to want to do much, and we've just got this garbage across the continent. It seems to, at the moment, be preventing any sort of massive amounts of heat coming across. I think that if there's any chance that we can get the heat continuing for 2 consecutive days, then we could really see something quite special, but it just doesn't seem to be happening.
No, that's right. It's always more difficult to forecast in summer and to interpret the charts in summer with everything being so slack.
Indeed. We'll see that by 138 hours. So this is 9 o'clock 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. We've got this much cooler Atlantic air coming in from the southwest, and this area of low pressure representing where this cold front is, and cutting off all the warm air, with the exception of eastern Scotland. So it looks like Saturday won't be the warmest day after all, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's bringing the and this is progressing. I think it has been a trend in the recent model runs that it's bringing this push of cooler air through earlier, sort of Friday night, perhaps even Friday evening, Friday night. So Saturday then turns out to be a cooler day as the Atlantic air re-establishes.
So we could so again
that's still a long way off. So that could be pushed back, and if the cold front comes across later on Saturday, say Saturday evening, then the east and southeast could still be really hot Saturday.
And again, Saturday looks like a Saturday morning could be one of those rather miserable days with drizzle, cloud, and the odd rumble of thunder.
That's right. Maybe the greatest thunder risk Friday evening, Friday night, and then Saturday a damp, misty, sort of murky day.
But it doesn't actually ever really get cool. I mean, apart from the southwest of Ireland, which is ironically one of the warmest places in winter. But for most of the UK, it never actually gets cold. It's still going to stay quite warm.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be cooler compared to in the week, but it'll still be a relatively warm air mass.
Doesn't look like there's any chance of a third reload. Of course, it's still going to stay warm in Spain and France, but
yeah, the heat sort of persists around France, probably through into the following week. So, and the Azores high is ridging there, isn't it? So it wouldn't take that much to set it all up again, throw another ridge up and pull the winds back into the south and the southeast.
Okay. So we've been going for half an hour, so I guess maybe we could take some questions now and then look at what the models are predicting in terms of actual temperatures.
Sure, that's a good idea.
If you want to go and have a look at some of the questions on GavsWeatherVids, then we could.
Yeah, I'll go and see where we've had anything on GavsWeatherVids. No questions on GavsWeatherVids yet.
Okay, let's just
to say very quickly that the comment section on GavsWeatherVids is off the homepage now. So if anybody's watching this on GavsWeatherVids homepage, I'm streaming the video on GavsWeatherVids homepage and in the comment section. If you're watching this on GavsWeatherVids homepage and you want to comment, you have to go up to the buttons at the top of the page and go click chat, and that will take you to our comment section. I've made a lot of changes to the website over the past few months, so that's where the comment section is now. If you click chat, that'll take you to the comment box.
You can also ask questions on the YouTube chat if you want to do it that way. But I guess let's have a look at some of the actual temperatures. I'll put the France view up because that shows them in France and the south of England, where I think the temperatures are going to be more interesting. But we'll cover Northern England and Scotland as well. Just bear with me. French flag. Yeah, there we go. This is a French website, so the French one is going to be at the top. So keep in mind actually that these temperatures are going to be a little bit low for two reasons. The first reason is that these aren't actually maximum temperatures. These are just 2 meter temperatures, which means that they give the temperature at the specified time, which will either be 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 7 o'clock at night. Neither of which really is the hottest part of the day, which I suspect is around 4 or 5 o'clock. And secondly, as Gav, I'm sure, will point out, the GFS tends to underestimate the maximum temperatures by a couple of degrees anyway. So
that's right. You can normally add on 2 or 3 degrees for whatever it's showing. So say if it's showing 25, you would normally be able to increase that to probably 27 and so on.
Oh, this is annoying. It doesn't seem to be updating it. Sorry. The thing is not updating. I must have done it in the wrong window. Sorry. I'm gonna have to do it again now. Damn it. Yeah, I'm sorry about this. It didn't update. I was using the wrong window. Anyway, this is the France and South England view where the temperatures are going to be at their warmest. So I guess let's start up with Monday, which is like the first proper day of the cold spell. So
first day of the hot spell.
You're still in did I say cold spell?
Yeah, you're still in winter mode.
Oh yeah, wow. Yeah. So again, this is showing 22s, 23s quite widely in the southeast, which is basically average, isn't it? Really, nothing special about that.
Yeah, around that. Yeah, 22, 23 is sort of the midsummer average, I think, for southern England.
Okay, so let's go to Tuesday, which should really be more interesting. So we've got 25s by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and 26 by 5 o'clock. Sorry, not 5 o'clock, by 4 o'clock, because it's 1 hour out. Okay, so 26 basically the highest the GFS is going for today. You could see that in the south of France we've got 40s, which is
right. The heat's really building in the south of France. So if it's suggesting 20, what's it suggesting? 26 for Tuesday.
Tuesday at 4 o'clock, which I think 4 o'clock is about as high as it gets during the day. Tuesday at 4 o'clock, it's suggesting 26 degrees.
Yeah, so that could go up to sort of nearly 30, couldn't it? Even on Tuesday. So,
yeah, I'm honestly not too sure about this, given what I saw on the pressure SLP thing. I mean, that seems rather low for Tuesday. Only 26. I'd have thought it'd get at least to 28 in the southeast on Tuesday. I'll be very surprised if it only gets to 26.
I think it'll be around 3 degrees higher than that. Yes, 26. So that takes it to 29, maybe 30 on Tuesday.
I think both of us have agreed that the GFS is underestimating the temperatures on at least Tuesday.
It usually does.
26 seems very low given the synoptics. 26 can be achieved on a fairly normal day, just when you've got high pressure over the UK. So I think that's quite a significant underestimation. Anyway, so that's Tuesday. Bearing in mind it's going to be quite warm during the night, of course, as well. So it could be quite bad sleeping conditions.
That's right. Yeah, well, nights are going to get increasingly warm. So that will be something to be aware of. I know a lot of people don't like warm nights. We're not that bothered by the heat in the day, but even nighttime temperature that a lot of people don't like. So there will be some very warm nights coming up.
So we've got on Wednesday at 4 o'clock in the morning, which I guess at this time of year is about the coldest part of the night. 4 o'clock in the morning, we've got temperatures still in the low 20s in parts of the central southwest, which is, I mean, that's pretty close to the record, isn't it?
I'm not sure, but that is very high, isn't it?
I think the record is about 24. The highest minimum temperature ever recorded, I think, is about 24. So we're about 3 degrees off the record there.
I remember in 2006, it was a hot month in 2006, wasn't it, in July? I remember one night, the temperature at midnight was still around 25. It was very uncomfortable.
Yeah. You can see also that the location of the hottest temperatures is also moving where the plume is at this point. It's going to progressively be moving east, which I think is one of the reasons that we're not going to see anything quite as exceptional as some of the earlier models are predicting, because this plume is not, it's very narrow and it's not staying in the same place. It's not the whole of the UK that's being torched at the same time. It's each part is taking its own turn, so to speak. So there's a lot of missed opportunity here. We've done Tuesday, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got to go through to Wednesday.
Okay, so this is 5 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, which is what I've just done. 7 o'clock in the morning, so still 20 degrees. 10 o'clock in the morning, 25. That's pretty good for 10 o'clock in the morning.
That's hot, isn't it?
Mid-20s at 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I'm not truly overwhelmed by this, if I'm honest. 1 p.m, only 29, so not really that impressive.
But bearing in mind, we could increase that again by about 3 degrees, so that's going to 32.
But I mean, given what we were seeing, given what we were seeing 4 or 5 days ago on the charts, even on the GFS with temperatures widely 4 degrees higher than that, it's pretty anticlimactic, really. I do think that these are underestimating the temperatures a little bit.
I think 32 is probable there if it's showing 29.
I can already see that the plume is already moving east, with the warmest temperatures starting to move further east, which I think is the main problem. But anyway, let's keep going. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when the sort of hottest temperatures reaching, we've got the low 30s in the southeast, so nothing truly exceptional there.
What's that showing? 30, 31?
31 parts of the southeast.
So that could take it to 34 if we add another 3 degrees on. So that's going to be very hot anyway. It's not a record, but it'll be really hot.
Yeah, 30 degrees is nothing to complain about.
And it's Wimbledon, isn't it, down there while that's going on? So I wouldn't want to be playing tennis in that.
But it'll be interesting to see whether it's the heat or the storms that are the biggest story. Because originally, when you were first talking about this plume in your longer range forecasts, I originally thought it was going to be the storms that was the big headline, and then I changed my mind when I started to see these very impressive GFS charts that were showing 35, 36 on them. But now I'm starting to go back into the original category of maybe it's the storms that are going to be the big story. I don't know.
It might be. The thing with thunderstorms is that you never really know. Sometimes a situation that doesn't look that good for storms can be amazing, and sometimes a situation that looks like it would be really good, and you're going to get really, really good storms, and it just doesn't come together. So, like I said a while ago, I always find storms tremendously difficult to forecast.
But we will give it a go anyway.
Yeah, we'll give it a go.
Okay, so let's go into the small hours of Thursday. So this is the day that we think is going to be slightly cooler because of the Atlantic pushing in a little bit. And
I think so.
So we've got at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we've got mid-20s in the southeast.
Right. Yeah. That's what we thought, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's. I'm not too surprised about that. And then actually, it's in the 6 hour step now, so we don't get to actually see the warmest part of the day now. But at 7 o'clock at night, we've got 26. So that I can very much believe that is fairly accurate. I don't think that's over exaggerating at all. 26 is very reasonable. In fact, it might even be a little bit lower than that.
Yeah, it could be.
With all the cloud and possibly, I'm not sure. I don't think there's going to be any wall-to-wall rain, but there could at least be storms of some description on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then Friday, you were thinking that Friday was going to be Wednesday was going to be the one of the 2 days, and I was leaning towards Friday being the one of the 2 days. So it'll be interesting to see which one the GFS agrees with. So at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we've got 28s, 29s in the southeast. Again, not overly impressive, but look at what's going on in France though.
That's really hot across France.
If we could just if the synoptics changed a little bit, I don't think there's really any chance that they're going to change for the Wednesday part of the hot spell. I think that's really in the short term time period now. But if there's any chance that they could change a little bit before the Friday one, then we could really start to tap into some of these very warmer temperatures across France, and maybe Friday has, if not the higher temperature, at least the higher potential.
Yeah, or possibly going through to Saturday.
Indeed.
That push doesn't come across as quick as the model is showing, then Saturday could be really, really hot.
Oh yes, I'd agree with that. If we don't get the warm air being cut off on Friday evening, then I think Saturday will be even warmer than Friday, and I think that's possibly our best bet to try and break any sort of record. So anyway, where are we? So again, the GFS is I think it's basically a draw on the GFS. I don't think it's actually validating either of our viewpoints, because this is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so you could add a couple of degrees just due to the time. So about 30, 31 that the GFS is showing for both Wednesday and Friday, and we both agree that that's probably going to be a little bit low. So we're looking at probably 33 or 34 maximum in the Kent, London region. But again, nothing unusual for a warm spell, which is rather a downgrade from what was being predicted earlier this week.
That's right. Yeah, it is very hot. It's going to be hot on Wednesday and again on Friday, but not, I don't think, record breaking.
Well, let's look at. I don't think so. This is Saturday. Isn't of course not is of course not going to be impressive because
we bring the front across on Friday night, so it's Saturday morning.
Yeah, so I guess that's what we've seen is what to be expected. Shall we have a look at the NAVGEM, because we know that's gonna be sort of a little bit over the top with the temperatures. Even recently, it's been predicting higher temperatures than the other ones, although it doesn't seem to have run yet. Which other models will have run? The GM will have run, won't it?
Probably.
Oh yeah, the GM has. Let's go with the France car.
I think the UK Met should have run as well, shouldn't it?
Yeah, but we can't really get much information from the UK Met anymore.
No, not really.
Okay, so this is a little bit zoomed in, but maybe people will appreciate that. So again, we've got these southeasterly winds on as we go through Tuesday, pushing that warm air up. But then as we go through Wednesday, it's starting to get cut off. So the GM is quite progressive in that score. The warmest part of the country on Wednesday is going to be the southeast, East Anglia, Lincolnshire, Yorkshire, maybe.
Yeah.
So a little bit more progressive on the GM compared to the GFS. Let's have a look at the Friday warm spell. This looks a little bit more stable just from looking at it. A little bit hesitant, but it looks slightly more stable than the GFS. Less keen to break it down as quickly, but even so, we can see on Saturday that it's still under attack from the west. Those lighter colours don't illustrate temperature, but they do illustrate they represent height, which is a little bit like the way you can think of it very, very crudely. I'm going to get a lot of backlash for this, but very crudely, you can think about it as the overall pressure of the atmosphere between the surface and the 500 level. I know people that actually know stuff about this will be shouting at me now for saying that, but very crudely, it's like the overall pressure is what these colours represent, and you can see that things are getting lower from the west.
That's right. The lower heights are coming in.
And yes, even though Friday night could quite possibly be a very, very warm night with low 20s, definitely possible. We can see those intrusive greens and yellows starting to come in from the west. So will the GM do a third reload? Doesn't look like it. Oh, maybe? No, it's not going to do it. Anyway, let's have a look at the temperatures. I know a lot about the winter biases of the GM, but I don't really know much about the summer biases of the GM. Do you know much about that?
No, I don't know whether it has a summer bias. Nothing that I've observed, but it's always different to the JFS and the ECMWF. So I don't know if it's biased to a particular outcome in summer.
I know that in winter, it always predicts higher than expected temperatures when the wind is in the west, and always lower than expected temperatures when the wind is in the east. So the bias, the winter GM biases are extremely noticeable for people that use this model a lot. But I don't really use the GM in the summer because I don't really model watch too much in summer. So if I'm going to be model watching at all, I'm going to be sticking with the GFS. But
there was a situation a few weeks ago where the GM picked up on something. I can't remember quite what it was. It did pick up on something before the other two, the GFS and the ECMWF, and it had the right idea. It's better than the other two, which is quite unusual for the GM to do that. But I think it was the change. We had that warm April, didn't we? A lot of dry weather, and then it changed at the end of April. And I think the GM did better with that than the GFS and the ECM. But generally, it's the other two and then the GM.
Yes, we can actually. There's I will, when we look at the, we can't look, of course, at the 12Z, but we'll look at the 0Z ECM, and there's a website that I will link in the description where you can actually look at surface ECM temperatures. So it is possible to actually get that information, and I will show you how you can do that.
Oh, right. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you can. I think we've even done it before on these live hangouts. It's very cumbersome, but you can do it. For those that don't work in the metaverse, this information is available to you, albeit in a rather less substantial form. And I will show you how you can access that. So stay tuned if you want to listen to that information. It's a little bit of a teaser. Anyway, so let's go through. So we've got on Monday. We've got that's Tuesday. 26 in the southeast, 27 by 7 o'clock in the afternoon. And of course, again, remember that this is in 6-hour steps rather than 3-hour steps. So it's going to be at a cooler time of day. So the hottest time of the day is about 4 p.m. This is 7 p.m. or 1 p.m. So remember, this is going to naturally underestimate compared to GFS. But we've got a much higher temperature than the GFS predicted. The GFS was going for 25, 26 at the warmest part of the day, whereas the GEM is going for 27 at a part of the day that isn't even warmer. So you can add 1 degree to that already, just to take into account the time of day being different. So GEM is automatically predicting 28 for Tuesday, which is a good 3 degrees warmer than the GFS.
That's what we thought, isn't it? So actually, the GEM surface temperatures are a little bit more accurate, probably, than the GFS.
I would say that it's a little bit. It seems to me that that's a better representation of what's actually going to happen with 28 being more the normal on Tuesday. Look at that, 40 degrees in the south of France. The record for France actually is only I think the record for France is only something like 42, 43. So even if we don't break a record in the UK, I think France could do it.
That could go, couldn't it? And of course, probably sort of Belgium, Holland, they may break records. Germany perhaps may break records. So this could be really quite noteworthy for a lot of Europe.
I think Belgium actually has a chance of seeing the magic 40. I think Belgium could do it. I think it's unlikely, maybe only 20% chance, but I think it is conceivable that Belgium could actually see 40 degrees, and I'm pretty sure that's never happened before.
You wouldn't rule it out, would you?
I certainly wouldn't. So, okay, that's Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Actually, we're skipping ahead to Thursday there. So Wednesday, again, it's being far more optimistic with temperatures. 30 degrees at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and 31 at 7 o'clock in the afternoon. So that corresponds to probably about 32 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is what basically we were saying we thought it would probably be.
Yeah, low 30s.
And 37 in the northern part of France. So I think that's probably a better representation of what we're going to be seeing. Low 30s, probably 33 in London. I think that would be the maximum in London.
33, maybe 34, possibly.
Yes, that seems a very reasonable prediction. I think the GFS is massively underestimating the potential here. The GEM seems to have it better, although that might just be me being a little bit biased. But I don't even like warm weather, so what reason would I have to be biased? I hate it, to be honest. So.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. I can't stand it.
It's amazing the people that don't like it, actually. The sort of media idea is that everybody should love hot weather, but it's amazing the people that you speak to, just generally going around in life, and sort of people ask what you're interested in, say you're interested in the weather. It's amazing the people that don't like hot weather.
Yeah, my perfect temperature is sort of when I'm just sitting around doing nothing. My perfect temperature is sort of late teens, so sort of 18, 19, 20 is bearable. And when I'm active, my perfect temperature is more like 13, 14, 15, because I find it very difficult to really do anything when the temperature is in the mid-20s. So I'm not really looking forward to this. Although I have to admit, I am quite excited about the prospect of a record being broken. That's always quite fascinating when a record falls. So I at least hope that if it is going to be hot, it might as well be extremely hot. It's sort of like if you're going to fail an exam, you might as well fail it miserably.
I'm okay up to around 30 to 32. I'm all right with that. But if it goes above 90, 32, then it does start getting a bit wearing, I must admit.
I don't think I've ever really experienced anything significantly above that, if I'm honest. Because my travel, I've never been outside Europe, so and I've been to the south of Europe, places like Italy, but I've never been in the summer, so I've never.
I remember at the very beginning of the broadcast, we was talking about 2003, wasn't we? And I remember that weekend of the 9th and the 10th, and here, where I am in Northamptonshire, the highest temperature was on the 9th, because on the 10th we had thunderstorms coming through during the Sunday afternoon, so that pulled the temperature down. But on the Saturday, on the 9th, the temperature was around 35 degrees, so that was too much. It was stifling, absolutely stifling afternoon that Saturday.
I think for those of us that are a little bit further north, though, I think the July 2006, or was it June 2006? I think that was actually a little bit hotter for those that actually lived in the north.
Yeah, it would have been, because what was happening on that weekend of the 9th and the 10th of August 2003 is that it was gradually cooling down from the north. So it probably wasn't all that exciting up across the north in August 2003.
Yeah, I honestly don't really remember it that well. I mean, for me, it was quite a long time ago, but I remember the February 2005 cold spell far more than I remember the 2003 one. So that might say something about my persuasion. But I thought if I would have thought if it was truly miserable for me, I would have remembered it. But I don't really have too much knowledge of it. I think just because I was further north and it was less impressive. I do remember the July 2006 one a lot more. That seemed to be more impressive. I seem to remember 33 in parts of Yorkshire, 34 in parts of the North Midlands. It was actually warmer in the North Midlands than it was in the South East. So I might have it confused with another warm spell, but I think 34 for the North Midlands is pretty.
I think where I am in July 2006, we reached mid-30s, so that sounds about right.
Okay. Anyway, 31 for Wednesday, corresponding to about 32 middle, the hottest part of the day. So Thursday is the slightly cooler day. Still going for 29, which corresponds to about 30 at 4 o'clock. So the GM is far more optimistic with the temperatures going.
Yes, it'll be cooler on Thursday, but it probably won't be as cool as the GFS was showing. And like we said, temperatures could on Thursday still reach 30. So.
Yeah, I think the GM is basically a lot. Just from looking at the synoptics, I think the GM temperatures are far more reliable in this sense. Friday, so this is the day I think we need to look out for as being one of the warmest days. So GM is going for 30 degrees at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and 32 at 7 o'clock in the afternoon, which corresponds to 33 at about 4 o'clock. So GM is actually going for Friday as being the warmest day.
That's right. We can split the difference, can't we?
Yeah. So I get, again, that probably corresponds to maybe the high of about 34 being reached. Again, I'm not really that impressed by that. I have seen that before.
It could be that Wednesday and Friday are very equally matched, or it could be Friday's a little bit hotter or Wednesday's a little bit hotter. It's going to depend on the exact soundings on the day, how much cloud we've got and things like that. As we said, Friday could be sunnier than Wednesday, so that could make a difference. The air could generally be a little bit drier on Friday.
One thing I have noticed, though, is that if you look at France, it's actually colder on Friday. I think which completely goes against the whole pattern that the GFS was going for, because the GFS definitely had a much warmer air mass on Friday. The GM has got a considerably colder air mass. I mean, look at that, a pathetic 28.
There may be a thunderstorm or something there.
just one big thunderstorm. I wouldn't be surprised. There are thunderstorms that big in France. I have seen thunderstorms that are that size.
That would be around Paris, wouldn't it? So
I don't know. I should know. I have been to Paris before, but I know Paris is in roughly that area, but I'm not exactly sure where it is.
might be going for some sort of huge supercell thunderstorm over Paris.
Yeah.
Watch out if you're going to Paris on Friday.
Yeah, I remember watching the radar when you see these heat waves and you see these absolutely humongous storms in the north of France. The things that that most radars are completely inadequate because they just go off the color scales. I mean, the only radar that seems to be able to capture these even slightly well is the net weather radar, which is even the free version of the net weather radar is quite good because its scale goes up to 250 millimeters per hour, and you might not think that you need those sorts of numbers, but you do sometimes. The radars that only go up to about 100 millimeters per hour are completely inadequate with these massive, gigantic storms that you get in the north of France. I've never seen anything like them in the UK.
No.
But apparently the Met Office radar is capable of measuring rainfall rates of something like 4,000 millimeters per hour. That's what it's capable of measuring. Something ridiculously high.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, if people have a couple of 100,000 quid a year to spare, then you could pay for it and get the raw data. But it's not something I have money to spend on. But anyway, I guess the rest of this is going to be less interesting. So still fairly warm, but nothing particular, nothing that special. I wonder if in this time that we've been talking, the Nav gem has finally run, because I know this is gonna be the hottest of all the models. So I do want to check this one out.
It's only out 72.
That's still Tuesday though, isn't it?
Yeah. Wednesday, isn't it? Tuesday.
Oh yeah, so we can still have a look at Wednesday. Actually, the nav gem looks pretty poor actually, because it's got the low pressure centered across the middle part of the UK on Wednesday, so it looks actually pretty poor compared to some of its recent runs. So look at it. I know
I suspect it's a model that's all over the place.
Again, it's pretty damn high, isn't it? We're looking at 30 at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 31 at 4 o'clock.
Tuesday, isn't it? That's the 30th.
Tuesday, so it's not even the warmest day. And look at that, 42 in France, corresponding to I guess 43.
Still a bit over the top.
Oh god, it's 32 now. So it's
it won't be as hot as that on Tuesday.
Well, I think there must be something slightly wrong with the programming here, because even despite the less than favourable synoptics, it's going for a 35 on corresponding to a 36 on Wednesday. Do you think there's any chance of this happening?
That's put me on the spot, because well, yeah, I wouldn't totally and utterly discount the idea, but I think the GEM looked more reasonable. So splitting the difference between the GFS, which is too low, that which is probably a bit too high, then the GEM probably comes out better than. I think the GEM looks the most reasonable. But I suppose there could be something like a 10% chance that it could actually get that hot on Wednesday.
I'm just interested to try and figure out why though. I've got the 850 temperature, which gives us an illustration of the air mass. Well, why exactly is the nav gem doing this? It must be something to do with the air mass being very warm. You can see that the GFS had the sort of 20, 21, 22 over the UK, and the GEM has got something similar by Wednesday. So the 850 temperatures aren't really that different. Maybe slightly warmer, 22, 23, but nothing really that warm. I think it's just an artifact of the model.
Won't we all have to eat humble pie if it turns out that the nav gem is right and all the other models are wrong?
Well, I don't think I have too much to worry about. I quite like the nav gem.
All of us that's been running it down over the past few days will have to eat humble pie.
I've been very careful not to yell at the nav gem too much. The model that I probably criticised the most is probably the GEM.
Oh, right.
Or some of the other models that don't even deserve criticism, that no one ever even looks at, like the Russian model.
No, I don't look at. I look at the Russian model for long range.
It only goes to one of the
long range one, but I don't look at the shorter range one.
Oh yeah. I think people occasionally look at it if it happens to be the one that you can cherry pick to show a really cold spell in winter or something. Tuesday? It's come out for Tuesday, and it's showing the. Let's just go to the 6 and see what it shows for that. It has toned down a lot, to be fair. It has toned down a lot since last time. Sorry, go ahead.
I suspect it sort of does that, but as the situation comes into a more reliable time frame, then it will tone things down.
I'm just sort of keen to have a quick look at the short range models, because the WRF goes out to 72 hours, and it's probably better at coping with the temperatures than the medium term models are. So this is going through to Monday, which is one of the least of interesting of the days. That warm front coming across the UK, introducing the warmer air. Again, this is the 6 Z, so it doesn't look that much of a difference, but this is a little bit out of date. Tuesday, the winds are actually a little bit more southerly on the WRF than the medium range models. That's one thing I've noticed. On the medium range models, the winds seem to be far more towards the southeast, whereas these seem to be coming more directly from the south.
That could be hotter, couldn't it?
I don't know. I think that could go either way, because on the one hand, it's got what's this? Is this called the Bay of Biscay? I'm going to be really
embarrassed. That's right. Yeah, that's Biscay.
Glad I got that right. Because on the one hand, it means that the air is going to have to travel over this section of water, and it is a quite warm area of sea, but it's going to cool things down. But on the other hand, it's coming more directly from Spain and North Africa. So I think that could go either way.
And coming more directly over the Bay of Biscay could help increase the risk of storms, of course.
Yes, that's
where the moisture comes from.
So I'm not really sure where to put that, whether that's going to make things colder or warmer. I think that really could go either way. I mean, ideally, it would come directly from Spain, go through France, and then come over the English Channel, which is basically what the NAV gem did a few days ago. And we saw that if it does do that, you can get 45, but it never does, of course, because I
was looking at Trevor Harley's website, with all the historic information, and I get a lot about the invasion from there for the historic videos. And I saw on his website that from July 1808, it probably reached 40 degrees across much of southern and southeastern England. So it makes you wonder what the upper air temperatures would have been like that day. And that was in July. I think it's around the 13th of July, something like that, 1808. So I wonder what the upper air temperatures would have been with that. We've got no way of knowing, but it'd be interesting to see it, wouldn't it, if there was a historic chart that went back that far.
I mean, I think if we do compare it to what the NAV gem was again showing a few days ago, that had temperatures about 25, 26 at the 850.
Yeah.
I think what the NAV gem was showing is possible. I do genuinely believe getting temperatures of 42, even 43 is possible in the UK, but it would require such an extraordinary combination of circumstances, and the wind just perfectly going in exactly that direction, which is completely contrary to what would naturally occur, because of course, again, all this heat is going to create these heat lows, which tends to divert the air, and the air might go over the sea, all those sorts of things. But I do think that in a genuinely perfect scenario, I think 42, 43 could happen in the UK, but it's probably something like a 1 in a 1,000 year event. So when it's that rare, you just in any case, I'm just going to keep going with the WRF. So again, 18 degrees. It's actually a little bit less warm than the medium-term models are showing. Again, I think that this is probably more moderate, but interesting to see what the maximum temperature sorts of are predicting. Very unimpressive, actually.
That's for Tuesday, did we say?
Yeah, 26 on Tuesday, but that's the maximum. So that's actually looking at the hottest part of the day. So
that would be in line with the GFS, wouldn't it? And
yeah,
it would suggest that the GEM, which we thought was probably the most sensible, maybe overcooking things.
But I think we should all bear in mind that the WRF uses GFS data, so that could
right. That explains it then.
That could be a reason for it, yeah. So I'm not entirely surprised about that. Did you want to have a quick look and see if there are any more questions? I know we haven't done the thunderstorm stuff yet. I'm not sure if people.
Sure, if there are any questions. Richard has posted that temperature extremes recorded at Newcastle Weather Centre include 32.5 Celsius in August 1990. So Newcastle has been up to 90 Fahrenheit in 1990. That heat wave at the start of 1990. And Richard also says, don't want to go into climate change, but why does Hadley keep changing the 30-year average, as this, if left, would actually show the UK cooling slightly? Thoughts, guys? My thought on that would be I'd rather not open the can of worms on that.
I've got a question from someone called Zyplode on the YouTube chat, and he asks, does anyone actually think we will beat the 37-degree record for the upcoming heat wave? I have a bad feeling it will get downgraded and we will only get to like 32.
No, I don't. As we explained, I don't think we'll get the record. We could be wrong. We could be wrong, but I don't think we'll get the record.
I think we agreed that if we do get the record, it's most likely to be on Saturday. And don't take that away as being Saturday is going to be the warmest day, because there's a good chance that Saturday we'll see the Atlantic pushing through and it being a lot colder. But if the record is broken, I think it's most likely to happen on Saturday, when we get a really warm shot of air on Friday, and then somehow the Atlantic stays at bay for Saturday. So if the record is going to be broken, I think we're going to have to wait till next Saturday to see it.
Yeah, I've got another couple of comments. Should we do them now, or?
Yeah, feel free to do that.
So we've got Simeon is asking, does this change any thoughts on the pattern for the rest of July? Many models have consistently predicted a cool to average month. Well, I'm not sure on July, actually. I think it could be a warm month. I think generally what came out in my summer forecast was that many of the models were going quite cool, and I didn't think it quite added up, really. So I think we could be in for quite a warm. I mean, we're going to start off really hot for July anyway, so the temperature is going to be way above average anyway, so it's going to take quite a lot to pull things down. But I think probably July will be a warmer month than the models are predicting. It's a funny summer, this one, isn't it? It's quite a strange summer to pin down. So it might be one of those situations where it's really warm at times, and then other days might be really quite cool, because it's that sort of strange summer. And Lucy is asking, does the convective potential on both the first low advancing and the high reloading suggest we may see potential examples of both fork lightning and sheet lightning? I would think both are possible. That would be my guess, but I think really it's too far away to be talking about specific lightning types. Lucy loves lightning, by the way. Most people who I speak to don't like lightning, but I like it, and it's nice to find somebody else that likes lightning.
I'll echo something briefly that I did a bit earlier, which was okay. Yeah, I'll echo something very briefly that I said earlier, which was that when you get a front coming across the UK that's a fairly weak thing like a cold front, but it moves into very hot, warm, moist air, and the humidity is around about 100%. That seems to be, just from sort of an anecdotal point of view, that seems to be the sort of thundery, but not particularly violent sorts of conditions where you get more sheet lightning than you do fault lightning. But that's just sort of general type thing. Is that what you would say as well, Gav? Are you there? Your microphone doesn't seem to be working. If it's possible that if you go towards the top of the screen and there's a microphone button, you might have to click that, because I clicked it just to avoid getting rid of the echo. So you think?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, you were saying about lightning. Yeah, I think that's probable.
Well, we can go into the whole thunderstorm risk now, because that's the one part. I think that we could do the thunderstorm thing, and that will basically be enough to call it a day. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, sure. Let's have a look at some storms.
I know we've gone a little bit beyond the time, but as long as it's well under 2 hours, I think that will be fine. So let's have a look at the storm potential. So again, I know that some of the more experienced people are going to yell at me for this, but I'm going to be using Cape and lifted index. There are probably better methods to do this. There's a website called what's it called now? Something like meteocenter.fr. No, that's not it. That's the one. Meteocenter. I think it's something like Meteocenter, and there's lots of different storm prompters on that. Again, I'll link that website through the description. It has things like helicity index, which is a good tool if you want to look at tornado prediction, which is something fairly rare in the UK, but you might be interested in that. But for the purposes of this one, I think we'll just be using Cape and lifted.
Have you ever experienced a tornado, by the way, Quantum?
I've seen funnel clouds. I think most people have seen funnel clouds. I haven't seen a funnel cloud touch down though. Have you?
We had a tornado where I live, or very close to it, in 2004, August 2004. That was quite scary. It's only a little thing, but it makes you realise how scary a big one like tornadoes they get in America must be.
Oh yes, definitely.
Because just that very little one in 2004, that was pretty scary actually.
Okay, so this is the Cape and lifted. I'll give a very brief introduction for those of you that never come across this. They tend to correlate quite well to each other. They both measure slightly different things. Cape you can think of as sort of the amount of energy that's in the atmosphere, and lifted index describes what happens when you have a parcel of warm air. How far the warm air can rise before it sort of stops. So that's what lifted index is, and it's measured in degrees, whereas Cape is measured in the joules, the unit of energy. So both tend to correlate with each other. If you have more energy in the atmosphere, these particles of warm air can sort of rise further up into the atmosphere. So they both tend to show sort of the same thing. You tend to get very high values of Cape and very low values of lifted index. So when you get Cape above 2,000 joules per kilogram, which is what we're looking at here, that indicates very stormy weather. And when you get Cape below about -5, again the same thing. But anything below 0 suggests a lot of instability. And you can see the scale across here. So even today we've actually got a little bit of instability with sort of 0 being shown here on the lifted index. So maybe even the odd rumble of thunder today, although I think it's maybe unlikely. Maybe a couple of rumbles of thunder in Hull or York. So even today. But let's go to more interesting. So Monday, pretty much nothing on Monday. Tuesday, So this is the first thunderstorm risk seems to be on Tuesday. You can see that. Is this sort of the location that you'd have expected it to be? Sort of North Wales, northwest part of England, eastern Scotland.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised to see it for Tuesday, though. I thought Tuesday was probably going to be a mainly dry day, but
It's not overwhelming. I mean, the -4 for lifted index, sort of 1,000 joules. It's sort of like isolated thunderstorm type conditions.
that's right. Yeah, so it won't be anything too dramatic, but there could be something on Tuesday.
Let's go to Wednesday. So, okay, here we go. Here we go. Right. If that came off, that would be torrential downpours with frequent lightning, but I doubt it will come off. You're on when you look at these charts, you often see the Cape getting above 2,000, and you often see the lifted index getting below -5. But in reality, it really doesn't happen that often. So
no, that's one of the reasons it can be so difficult to predict thunderstorms. As I explained, I find it harder than snow, and snow is pretty difficult to predict, but thunderstorms I do find them very, very, very difficult. But that looks dramatic, doesn't it?
To me, I would interpret that as being quite widespread thunderstorms in the afternoon in parts of the northwest and northwest, and probably nowhere near as extreme as this is showing, because -9 is pretty low. But yeah, some torrential downpours probable. You can see actually this area of high Cape in the southeast of England as well. That's not, if you want high temperatures, that's really not what we want to be seeing.
That's right, because cloud and rain will always have a limit on. Will always limit the temperatures. So yeah, if you want a really baking hot day on Wednesday, you don't want thunderstorms.
So maybe East Anglia, which is just to the north of these sorts of high risk areas for thunderstorms, might actually see the higher temperatures.
Possibly, or maybe somewhere like the South Midlands. That doesn't look like.
Somewhere like in Lincolnshire, maybe as well.
Yeah, South Midlands perhaps, or home counties, something like that, maybe.
So let's look at Thursday now. I think the Capes will actually be lower on Thursday, despite the sort of synoptics looking quite a lot more unstable, just because the day is going to be less hot.
I think things will blow on Wednesday afternoon evening, and then Thursday will be one of those days where it all calms down a little bit. The temperature will be down a bit, and so the storm risk will be down a bit.
I mean, what you can see here is that this is Thursday. This is Thursday morning now at 7 o'clock in the morning. What you can see is this very large area of quite comparatively high capes, because again the status quo is always very, very low. So comparatively high, but certainly nothing at all to write home about, and lifted indices that are marginally positive or marginally negative. This indicates to me a sort of frontal system pushing through, but that has some convective elements to it as well. So so when I see large areas of low but significantly above average Cape, to me that says the sort of thundery rain, the sort of sheet that again Lucy was describing, different types of lightning, the sort of sheet lightning rather than the fault lightning, and the persistent rain. So persistent, maybe even drizzly rain, but sort of a thundery humid element to it when I see these very large areas of colour. At rather odd times as well, because of course 7 o'clock in the morning is a rather odd time to see above average capes.
That's right. I suppose it's just as everything's calming down from before.
So as we move into this is the middle of Thursday. So I said Thursday was going to be less impressive, but I didn't expect it to be that unimpressive. So we've got again these larger areas of above average Cape, but nothing special. Again, to me that indicates a sort of persistent thundery rain rather than massive storms and sunshine.
What often happens is that when you get like Wednesday is shown to be really quite thundery, and then it sort of takes everything out of the atmosphere. Like once you've had those storms, it's like blowing the lid off. Blowing the lid off, so off the atmosphere. So everything then will calm down, and you generally don't get as many thunderstorms the day after you've had quite a thundery event.
Yes, that seems like a good way of describing it, because if there are any storms on Wednesday, it won't be the persistent sort. It'll be the sort of I'm not sure if there's actually going to be any cells, but I mean, like the showers, the sort of the big cumulonimbus clouds, the the 6 o'clock in the evening storms, the storms that happen at the right sort of day. Whereas Thursday seems like a day of cloud and rain, but thundery rain nonetheless. So it's going to be the sort of day where it's going to be a thundery sort of environment, very, very humid, thunder in the air, but nothing particularly violent. And whereas the east actually could be quite a bit sunnier, it seems like the west is actually going to bear the brunt of the storms in general.
Yes, I think so. Midweek, yes. North and west.
Let's go to Friday. And Friday, of course, is again, apart from Wednesday, the other warm day. So slightly less impressive. Slightly less impressive than Wednesday in the UK. But look at France. You can see that we got these very bright colours in France, -11. So
that's incredible, isn't it?
So I think Friday is going to be that day where we see those huge thunderstorms attacking the north of France.
That's right. The model we was looking at earlier suggested something could be popping off, didn't it, across the north of France.
And maybe 1 or 2 of those storms coming into the Midlands as well. I mean, -7 is still very impressive, but again, I don't think we're going to actually see that. So again, probably a stormy day on Friday, showers or longer. Well, not longer, but so Saturday again is Saturday and Thursday are probably quite similar days if this run is right.
Yes, the caveat to put in is that everything could be pushed back into Saturday, so the heat and the storm risk could be pushed further back through into Saturday, or it could be moved forwards. It's a little way off, so things still to be decided, I think, really for Friday, Saturday. Quite what's going on there.
Yeah, I'd completely agree with that. But if we assume that this model is right, which again, take what Gav says to heart, because Saturday could be the warmest and sunniest of all the days. But you can see that we've got a very similar situation with these very large areas of colour, these blues, rather than seeing the smaller areas of reds, yellows, greens, whatever. We see these large areas of blue that don't make any distinction between the land and the sea. And that's sort of the thundery, persistent rain sort of conditions. And then again, maybe Sunday as well. These sorts of I'm going to take home messages. If you're in the west, it's probably more likely to be stormy, and if you're in the east, it's probably more likely to be hot and sunny. But with some potentially massive storms on Wednesday and Friday for the south and the Midlands.
Yeah, that sounds about right. On the current evidence.
I think that's about as finished then. Do you want to see if there's any last questions that we could maybe conclude?
Sure, we'll go back to GavsWeatherVids and have a quick look. Simeon has said, must admit, I struggle to see this heat being repeated in the first half of July at least. Atlantic seems to break through by the 11th of July. Any thoughts? I would say on that it does look like the Atlantic will break through, but I think the heat's going to be fairly well entrenched across France and southern Europe. So I wouldn't rule out getting more pushes of heat later on through July. And Kieran has said, what can we expect from the website during the rest of the year? Any new features or ideas? Plus, what are your goals in expanding and growing the weather website? Oh, that's a good question, isn't it? So, in terms of what to expect, in terms of the updates, we're moving into auto mode for the longer range updates, because of course, for the long range updates, you do the season that's coming in the season that you're currently in. So I've just started the autumn updates today, actually. So that will be taking us through the summer, the autumn updates, and then from September, all the winter stuff starts kicking off again. So it'll be it'll be getting very exciting from September if you're wondering what's going on with the winter. In terms of the website, I've actually done enough with the website for the time being, because I've totally revamped it, and it's gone responsive now, so it works for all devices on one single page. I mean, it was a huge ordeal for me to do that, because I'm not trained in sort of model in computer and website design. So it was a huge effort to get that done. So now I've got that done, I'm going to let everything sort of bed in for a while, and I won't be making any more changes to the website this year. Eventually would like to get charts and radar images and that sort of thing on the website, but it won't be happening this year because I've done enough on the website for this year.
Sounds like a good plan. If you wanted to see quickly if there's going to be any more questions on GavsWeatherVids, I'm just going to, because I promised that I would briefly show the ECM 2-meter temperatures, and this is on a website called wonderground.com. You've probably heard of it,
right? But, yeah, I think we did use that on the last one we did, didn't we, back in February? Yeah,
and if you go on the Wonder map, you can actually, it's pretty hard, it's pretty cumbersome to get it. It's sort of like a little secret that they have, because they don't advertise it. It's really not obvious that this even exists, so they don't make a big deal out of it at all. But it's one of the little gems that they had on their website. You can actually get ECM 2-meter temperatures. So let's have a look at what the ECM suggests. And bear in mind, this is for the 0Z, so it's not the one that was updated at 12 o'clock today. That one comes out in about an hour, which unfortunately we won't be looking at. But so let's have a look at and the controls are absolutely appalling on this as well. So they really make it difficult for you to find it. So again, 6 o'clock in the evening on Tuesday, the ECM is going for maximum temperatures between 24 and 28 on Tuesday. On Wednesday, let's have a look at Wednesday. So at 12 o'clock on Wednesday, we've got temperatures in the 28 to 32 range. So a little bit higher on Wednesday. Let's see if we can go a little bit further to 87. Okay, so we've actually got the 32 to 36 contour appearing here. So the ECM is actually implying that the temperatures are going to get above 32.
Right, that's hot.
So people tend to trust the ECM above all the other models. So the ECM seems to be more in agreement with the GEM rather than the excessive NAV gem or the pessimistic. I say pessimistic. I should say optimistic, because I actually don't like hot, but pessimistic GFS. So that's Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Let's see if we can go a little bit further. Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Okay, it's cool there. Let's go for Thursday. Thursday at 12 o'clock, 24 to 28 at 12 p.m. Thursday at 3 o'clock, we've got a little area of 28 to 32s. So maybe the ECM is slightly more towards the GFS than the GEM. Let's go Friday, which could even be warmer than. Okay, so Friday at these controls are really awful. I tell you, they're just terrible. It's so hard to use. So quite warm even at 9 o'clock in the morning. So 12 o'clock, we've got again 28 to 32 coming out in the south. Oh, come on. Just go a little bit further. 135. Okay, there we go. We've got quite a large area of 28 to 32s on Friday, but no repeat of the 32 to 36 contours. So the ECM is actually implying that Wednesday is going to be the warmer day, not Friday. So
it's Wednesday or Friday, isn't it?
But the ECM is voting for Wednesday.
Because Friday is so far away, then there has to be some uncertainty. We're not that far on Friday from where we are on Wednesday. So Friday and Wednesday are the 2 days to look out for Wednesday and Friday.
Yes, I think we're both agreed on that. Oh, here we go. Well, the ECM has just contradicted us, because now, well, I know that we both did say that that Saturday could potentially be even warmer than Friday, and the ECM is actually seems to actually be going along those lines, with the 32 to 36 contour making an appearance even at 12 o'clock, which is very impressive.
If that push of thundery and then eventually cooler weather is delayed because of how hot it's getting across France on Friday, then if it's delayed, Saturday has the potential to be really, really hot. It's just going to be how quickly those storms and then the cooler push off the Atlantic comes in Friday to Saturday.
You can see though that's exactly what happens on the ECM. You can see that the warm air, even by 6 o'clock in the evening, the warm air, which should really be a little bit warmer than 12 o'clock, not substantially cooler, all that warm air is pushed out of the way. So the ECM is kind of implying that a very slight adjustment could lead us to see something in the range of 35 to 36 degrees on Saturday with a slight adjustment.
It could do.
So I think the record is not critically endangered, but vulnerable.
Yeah, and the monthly record for July is 36 point something, I think. So that is endangered as well. And it's a huge if, because the general, other than the ECMWF, the general models we've looked at here want to cool things down by Saturday. So yeah.
So we're talking southern white rhino level of endangered, not northern white rhino level of endangered.
That's right.
Any final questions, or we could back up now, really, because I don't.
Right. So Liam is asking, when's the best chance of storms for Kent this week? So we've discussed Wednesday is one to look out for, and then Friday to Saturday, but to be determined, whether it's Friday or Saturday or overnight Friday into Saturday. But Wednesday and Friday are the two to look out for. Possibly Saturday if it's all delayed. And Richard's just replied to say, please do open that can of worms on the 30-year averages soon, please. So Richard wants us to do a discussion on what's going on with the temperature averages and climate change and all of that. So I don't know whether I want to go there really, but Richard wants to.
Snowwatch wants to know what the temperatures in southern Spain are going to be like.
Oh, that's going to be very hot, isn't it? So what are they? What are they now? I mean, it's going to be sort of over 40 degrees, isn't it? It's going to be really hot for Spain.
Yes, I'd say low 40s. Not record breaking for Spain there.
Yeah, it's going to be hot. So.
Not exceptionally hot. I think France has the best chance of seeing something. I think the UK and Spain are in a similar situation in that both are going to get unseasonably warm weather, but neither is going to see anything exceptional. Whereas as the one in the middle, France, is actually the more likely of the three countries to see something quite remarkable. I think France could break the record. Actually, I'd say maybe there's a 30% chance that France will break the record. Because the record isn't, for France, the record is low 40s, and all the models really agree that that's probably going to happen anyway. So,
and like we said, perhaps for the Low Countries and for Germany as well, might be some records tumbling.
Yes, indeed. So I think that's basically everything, isn't it? Did you want to say some final words before we go off air?
Well, it's been great fun. Really enjoyed it again. We'll be doing more live broadcasts, I think, as we get up towards the autumn period and going up to that season that begins with W that we all get very excited about. So we'll be doing more then. But thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody for tuning in, listening to us. Hope they've enjoyed it.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll echo that sentiment. Thanks everyone for watching, and feel free to share this video on all varieties of social media and to anyone that you think might appreciate a forecast. And thanks everyone for watching.